Hi everyone, this is Sharon Mistretta, and this is a flipped video lesson regarding QR codes and how to produce them. So what you're looking at right here is software that I use to produce my flipped lessons, and it's called Screencast-O-Matic, and it is free. And when I launch my free recorder, it records anything that I have on my screen. So I'm able to lecture on a concept, and it will record up to 15 minutes, which is about the top that you would want to have a flipped lesson. You wouldn't want it much longer than that. So it will record up to 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just show you a website that I am going to use in one of your subsequent flipped lessons regarding one-to-one devices. And I am going to provide you with a QR code within that lesson for several web pages that I want you to see. So rather than putting in links, I am going to provide you with a QR code within my flip lesson. And then you would have to take your phone or your tablet device that you have, where you have a QR reader, and they're free, that you find in your application store, whether you're using iOS or Android. They have QR codes that you can download for free. You just have to look for one that does not have a fee. So to facilitate this whole process of showing you how I do things, I do have a piece of software that I use called Air Server. So what you're seeing right now is you're seeing my iPad. And the way that you connect these devices is that you take the Air Server. Now, Air Server does have a small license fee. I did invest in it because this is something that I use quite often. And especially since I teach app writing, it's very beneficial for me to show students what is happening on my iPad. I can also do this with my iPhone or Android. So here is the Air Server icon at the top of my ribbon of my device. And what I'm doing is I'm showing the QR code that would allow me to synchronize my iPad with my laptop. So what you're seeing right now is that the screen is going to change, and I'm going to have my QR code. And all that I did was I pointed my camera of my device, my iPad, to that QR code, and I've synchronized those two devices. So any subsequent file or screen that I want to show you on my iPad, it's now going to show on this screen, and I'm recording it at the same time. So that's kind of a neat thing to have. Now, what I want to show you is an extension of Chrome. So extensions of Chrome live in the upper right-hand side here. There are extensions for other browsers. I just like to use Chrome. It's very flexible. So here I have a QR code generator. And I find that if you see these three little dots and you have more tools here and you have extensions, if I click on extensions and I key in QR, it's going to show me that I already have the QR generator installed as an extension, but that's where you find your extensions. There's all sorts of extensions. I have one for my NetBeans, which is what I use to write Java. I have my Grammarly to check my reports for my doctorate. I have Google Scholar to look up articles. I have my WebEx that I use for our class, and I have the QR code generator. So what I'm going to do is I want to share this page with you through a flip lesson. So I'm going to take this URL. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. It's the address of the website. So anytime anybody says URL, that's what it is. I'm going to do a Command C because I'm on a Mac. And that's copy. A Control C is on a Windows-based device. And I'm going to open up my QR reader here, and I am going to just do a Command V, which is paste, and it generates a QR code. And a QR code is simply an image that a QR reader will look at. And while it's not in English, it is an image that is then translated by the device to the URL, and then it navigates to that URL. So now I'm just going to generate that QR code by clicking on the QR button, and I'm going to save that image, and it saves that image in my downloads. So now I'm going to close this. Now this particular QR code is something that I would be able to embed in one of my flipped lessons. I do this often, and the way that I do that is I just simply display it. So I'm going to, here's the one I just created. I've been playing with this. So if I wanted my students to navigate to a particular website, I simply change my the name of it if I wanted to save it. So this is, I'm just going to put internet for now. And I'm going to move it, let me move it to my desktop for now. Okay, so there it is. All right. So this is my QR code. What I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate from my iPad. Now you're going to see me pointing my iPad to that QR code, and I am selecting my QR reader. So what that is going to do is it is going to line up with that QR code. And if you just give me a couple of minutes here, because this is something that I'm bouncing off of my device here. It hopefully will go quicker than this. Okay, so move this over, line it up, and there it goes. So now you see, I had to point it in the right direction. So here is the web page that I wanted you to look at, and I've saved this particular internet QR code. I collect them for my flipped lessons, because if there's certain things that I want you to navigate to that you can see on your own device, I simply use a QR code so that I can get to it. So it's a very handy way to do this with students, because it's very difficult for them to enter a URL. I don't have necessarily a place for them to click on a link, but I use the visual aspects of the QR reader so that I can have them navigate to whatever I wanted them to take a look at. So